Peace Shine family, it's Kyle King here again on your bonus lesson. This is bonus lesson number 2. So I want to really be able to give you guys all of the keys. So this lesson is really going to be focused on interviewing, 101 interviewing tips when you're interviewing people. We talked about it briefly in lesson 6 on building a winning team. And we talked about it again in lesson 12 and then again in lesson 13 with proper hiring and onboarding, and then also selecting the perfect partner. But I really want to walk you down kind of the steps that I use that have been very successful for me with, acquiring partners, acquiring employees, acquiring, just developing that team. So you understand how to find them. You understand how to onboard them. You understand how to partner and what to look for, all of these different things. But one thing I wanted to give you before the end of this course is when you're in that interview process, like the actual communication, the back and forth process, I wanted to give you a few strategies, a few questions, a few methodologies that I use to be able to successfully and effectively vet people, vet talent, and really be able to, once you recruit them, that you can know if this is talent or this is trash, to be honest. So this is to help you not bring on trash and for you to really bring on talented, skillful expertise that is going to help build your business, to help scale your business, and to help run your business effectively. So the first thing that I like to do, quick step, when you're in the interview, so now you're in the room with different people, you introduce yourself. And I know this is probably one of those things that you already do, but I want you to get into the framework of introducing yourself in a way that they can really know who they're sitting down with. Now, this could be on the startup phase. This could be on any phase. But the purpose of introducing yourself, hello, my name is Kyle King. I'm the CEO and founder of this organization, that already sets the credibility and the understanding of the seriousness of who they're sitting down with. And that you are the visionary, you understand you're going to be the one signing their checks, or if it's someone that you're training to hold these interviews, they need to know the person that they're sitting down with. Now, the person scheduling the interviews and the person holding the interviews may sometimes be different in terms of the size of your organization, but I do believe that you need to introduce yourself, and everyone sitting next to you needs to introduce themselves. Second step is require introductions. Now, this could be, if you're doing a group interview, this is great, but also when you're doing a one-on-one interview with different people, I always require introductions. I could care less about what your resume says. I could care less about what your recommendations or your references say or your cover letter says. I need you to introduce yourself, because in this second step, this will pretty much set the foundation of the whole interview. They will be able to introduce themselves, give their value ladder, give their sales ladder, their value proposition on why they're sitting here. Hello, my name is Karen. I do this. I'm interested in this. I've done this. Really have them introduce themselves, because that's going to set the framework on first building a relationship with the people that you're sitting down with, because regardless if you hire them or not, I want you to get into the mindset, into the framework, into the habit, into the behavior of building relationships. Just because you're not hiring that person doesn't mean that that person can't be a client, that person can't be a customer, that person can't be a reference, that person can't be a recommendation, that person can't be a spokesperson for your organization. Now when you're out in the community, they understand that they met that person. If they ever see your brand, they know the owner, they know the CEO, the founder of that organization. So, I met with them, I didn't get the job, but the person that I met with was so nice, so professional. It helps with your brand presence out in the community. Look, interviewing is free marketing. You're getting to recruit, you're getting to vet talent, you're getting to have free conversations with people, and then they go back and talk about the company that they interviewed with, how it went, the person that they interviewed with, the business, the setup, the organization, the process, all of these different things, and they don't even know it. So you're using this process effectively to be able to vet talent, but yes, you're using this process to develop a brand presence as well. So step 2 is require introduction, so you can really see the confidence level, so you can really see the communication skill, so you can really see the poise and the body language, and then you can also see how they think of themselves. Because if they introduce themselves lackluster, or really just say, hey, I'm Tanisha, or I'm Courtney, or I'm Chris, and I'm just here to interview, then it's like, who are you? Like, you want them to really give that value. That's the first sell piece. The first sell piece, or one of the first sell pieces, is their resume. And that's all of the things that you don't see before you get them in front of you. Once they walk in, were they on time? How were they dressed? Was their handshake? Were they looking you in the eyes? And then this is the next step to really being able to vet them. The interview starts before they get there. A lot of people don't believe that. The interview starts when you accept them for the interview process, on the email chain, on the time that they come in. Are they coming early? Are they coming literally right before they get there? How are they sitting? All of these different things you have to be mindful of, or your team has to be mindful of when developing a strategy to properly interviewing your talent. So step 3, I like to lay out vision and company. So before I get into questions, before I get into any of that, I introduce myself, I require them to introduce themselves, and then I talk about, before I get into any of the questions today, the Shine Institute is this, we do this, the overall vision was birthed from this is this. So they understand the type of company that they're interviewing with. They understand that back to the seriousness of what they're interviewing for. But third, they buy into the vision. So regardless if you hire them or not, this is your opportunity to sell. This is your opportunity. I have had so many different interviews and created clients and created coaching clients and created mentees from these interviews than most people that sell products to people. You're using this opportunity to sell, to market, to develop your brand presence. You're meeting new people. So regardless if they don't have any experience or any education or any expertise, you're always using this opportunity. You have to always be selling your product, and it starts with laying out the vision and laying out the foundation of your overall company as well. Step 4 would be talk about the role and responsibilities of the role and your overall expectations. What is the role that they're getting hired for? What is the role that they're interviewing for? What is the role that they're here for? And then I want you to understand, what are they actually going to be doing? You should not be interviewing people if you don't understand what they're coming in to do or what they're going to actually be doing in terms of the actions and the behaviors and the habits. And then you have to lay out the expectations. Because based upon the expectations, they know right now whether they need to get up and leave or if they can stay here. And then the next question that I ask, or the next point that I ask, is, are there any questions? Are there any questions? Before we even waste our time, before we invest and spend our time, I say this. This is the role, this is the expectations, these are responsibilities. Before we actually get into the interview, from what you've heard thus far, is this still a company that you would like to interview for? We understand if this maybe didn't align with, the job posting or what you expected or what you maybe had thought, but we want to be conscientious and, respectful of your time. So we don't want to go through a whole interview process if this is not the company that you thought you were interviewing for. Right then and there, either people get up and leave, people either ask you questions. It starts a dialogue between you and the people that you're interviewing, the interviewee and their interviewer, right? So I think this is just 5 quick tips to really being able to develop an interview. That's really the introduction before you actually get into the interview. Now I want to talk through 9 questions that are so important. Question 1, and it literally goes in this order, usually every time. Question 1 would, what would people, I'm going to just give abbreviations, say about you? I like to start with this question, because usually most people that interview have some type of experience. Unless it's an entry-level job and they don't really have much experience. But I like to ask this question, in your previous jobs, what would your colleagues say about you? If someone was to give a performance review on you, what would come up? And then it really forces people to what would people say about me? Or what are the negative things that people would say about me? I want to hear what other people's perspective on you is. Because when I call your references and I call your recommendations and the people that you wrote down on your paper, I'm going to know right here based upon this one question if you're a liar. Because I've already called your references and recommendations before I interviewed you. So I need to know if you're a liar or you're going to actually tell the truth. Because based upon this one question, you'll see the integrity of the person. You'll see the real feedback that they get. You'll see the thought process and the words that they use, the adjectives that they use to describe themselves based upon what other people are saying, right? And then question 2, I need you now that I've heard other people's perspective, I need you to describe yourself in one word. 1 to 3 words. And this always throws people off. And one thing that you find out about this question or this statement, what you require them to do, is let's see who the confident ones are or who the humble ones are. Let's see who's the overly arrogant and the cocky ones and the people that are modest and just come off gracefully. So this question is powerful because people are always saying what other people could say about them, but sometimes people really don't know themselves. And this could create a challenge. It's I really don't know. If I could describe myself in one word, I'm, brave. If I'm, courageous. I heard earlier today that, one word, I'm phenomenal. So, next question, a follow-up question to this is I need you to describe how you are that. So yeah, you've given yourself an adjective. You may have just made up an adjective just to say something in this interview because sometimes, I'm really not sure. I have to think about that. But most people say something or have some ideology on how they view themselves. This question is the how is now giving the meat. So why, to really validating their point. So you say that you're brave, you say that you're phenomenal. I want to hear why. And then it really forces people to come out of that arrogance and really really contribute to the interview by showing the value that they could potentially bring to the organization, to your team, or the value that they have brought to other teams and organizations based upon the word that they use. It's super powerful, and it's something that I believe that you should look into. Question number 3, because that was a follow-up question, is problems. It's surrounded around problems. I asked specifically, problem solving is such a critical thing, and problems will arise in your position. What is the strategy that you use to effectively assess and solve or create solutions to the problems that may arise as a part of your role and your responsibilities? Now, this question is critical because a lot of people can talk about themselves and do all of these different things, but a lot of people don't have the methodologies and strategies to be able to effectively, this is really just process management. Organizational management. That's what that really looks at. That's the synonymous word that I would say with problem solving. How are you going to actually solve problems? Because everything could go wrong. We could give you the systems, the trainings, the materials, the resources, all these different things. But when these problems arise, now what? Now what are you going to do? I need to know the strategy. What is your breakdown process? Because now it's either I train you on our process or that's a pretty cool process that you use. Or maybe you don't have a process and now we have to retrain you to get you kind of in the mold of how we do things effectively within our organization. So I believe that it's important to always assess someone's problem solving abilities because barriers are going to come up like we've talked about in recent lessons, but you have to really be able to assess how they're going to break free of those, break down those barriers to be able to solve those problems effectively, to be able to get you to those solutions. Question number, 4? Yes. Or no, this is question 5, I think. I think question 5, in my opinion, it says what value can you bring to the organization, but I believe that you'll be able to scope kind of that question as they're saying, describing themselves and doing all these different things. So we're going to skip that question. And I want to know your management and leadership style. This, remember in previous lessons when we talked about company culture and someone fitting within your organization and the win-win, and they have to, like, what their version of winning is and what our version of winning is? This is that. And that's why you ask that question within interviews, because I want to know what your management style is. I want to know what your leadership style is. Like, how do you work with people? How do you build relationships with your team? How do you do all of these different things? By you asking that question, that automatically shows you as the CEO if this person is willing to fit within your system. Because after that, you can create a dialogue. You know, usually we would like our people to do this. However, what you've done already is in the expectations at the beginning and the roles and responsibilities at the beginning, you've already set the foundation. They just don't know that this is a part of seeing if they're an excellent fit for your organization. So you want to really be able to ask them, what is your management style or your leadership style? And that's kind of just going right back to the expectation. Were they really listening, or were they just giving you an answer? Because if they were truly listening, they would understand the role and responsibility and be able to re-deliver. And that's a system of problem solving as well. That's someone that you would want to bring into your organization if this person aligns with your overall style and fit and culture of your organization. The next thing that I like to ask is expectation. Now, I know we've said this in the overall program probably 20 to 30 times, but expectation. I don't say, you know, these are our expectations. We've already set that foundation at the beginning. I ask them, what are your expectations of us? What do you need from the management team, from the executive team? What are some of the resources? What are some of the things that you need to effectively do your job well? That question is powerful because you really see how good someone is and how humble someone is as well. Some people come in, I don't need anything. I'm good. I'm phenomenal. I do this. I can just do it because I'm an expert. Okay. Other people say, you know, that's a great question. I haven't thought about that. What are some of the things that you provide me? Because I've already broken down the expectation. I've already broken down the roles and responsibilities. I've already talked about the company and what type of company we are. So this question is important because now you're really seeing their management and leadership skills and really being able to effectively communicate back to you what they would need to do their job effectively. Now that holds you accountable from a managerial perspective to be able to provide them with what they need to be successful in their job. Or they can create other things that you may have not looked at to be able to help your current person that's in that role be able to execute their job more effectively. So what they can do, because something that I heard earlier today, I was like, that's a system that we have not used yet. Or that's something that we didn't look at. So you're using this, you're leveraging this interview as an opportunity of quality control, of maybe hearing other people's perspectives, research and development. You never know. So these are the keys. This is probably the most important part. Like, what are some of the things that you expect from us from an organizational standpoint? What are some of the resources that you'll need to be able to do your job effectively? Because based upon this question, you'll really see how their problem solving is. You know, they could say, you know, I don't need anything right now. I think how you've communicated your foundation or how you communicate the foundation of your organization, you would provide me with the resources that I would need and the training that I would need. However, I would like to do it for the first 2-3 weeks, and then based upon, you know, what I see, then maybe we can collaborate and communicate together to be able to see what I need moving forward. Boom. That's simple. Resourcefulness, resources. It's all about what you would need to look for in terms of your employees, because this one question is, okay, if I don't give you anything, how can you operate this job? Or do I just have to give you all these things and spend more money on top of your salary, or can you make it resourceful for us and be a problem solver and get it done with your gifts, your skills, and your talents and the value that you can bring to our organization? Question number 7 is so critical, is what is your goal? And I need to know this. Like, this is probably super key for me, and I ask people this very blunt. What is your goal coming into our organization? You know, we're a nationally recognized educational enterprise. I'm a 4-time author. I'm a thought leader in the educational space. I'm a speaker, global speaker, and all these different things. What is your goal? Is your goal just to learn from me and soak up my knowledge? Is your goal to use this as an experience to grow? Is your goal just to get a paycheck? Is your goal to use this as an opportunity to get to the next step? I need you to be honest with me. Just be honest, because based upon your goals, based upon what you want, maybe we can sculpt a program or a project or some experience and opportunity that fits best for you. But I don't want you to lie and be like, I'm just here to serve the students, and if we don't pay you or if we're off 1 hour on your paycheck, you're about to beat down the door and pull up on us. You see what I'm saying? You want people that this question is going to show you the integrity of a person, because it's just about being honest. If you want people to, if you're here to love the students, if you're here to create value within the students, if you're here to just learn, then I need you to be honest. And I want you as a CEO on the other side of this camera to require that from them as well. When you ask this question, look, I need you to be honest with this next question and be very transparent so we can know how to maneuver as a business organization. And I need to know your goal coming into this organization. And then the last question, what is the overall value that you can bring to this organization with, and how are you going to accomplish that goal? That's the caveat. Okay, that's your goal? Okay, how are you going to accomplish that goal? And then just sit in silence and look at them. Because then they're going to walk you through the process of how they can accomplish the goal. And if they create a goal that doesn't align with what truly is their mission or their goal coming in, you'll know based upon how they're explaining how they'll accomplish the goal. And the last question is, it's about limitation. When given limitations, when you are met with limitations, when you are met with not all of the resources that you need to be successful, how do you deal with that? What are your strategies to dealing with limitation? I'm not saying problems. I need to know how you're dealing with limitations and what's your strategy when you're met with limitations. This is usually the last question that I ask before I re-ask them, do you guys have any questions for me? And then after I ask them this question, I really get to see certain things. I get to see their resourcefulness, I get to see their resilience, and I get to see their ability to work within a team, work within the company culture, working together collectively to solving the common goal of what we need them to do as a part of the initial role and responsibility that we already communicated to them. Now, limitation is important, and I believe the last question is always important. Do you guys have any further questions, comments, or concerns? And then I follow up with this last question. And if there is anything that I have not asked that you would like to share, what do you guys have to say? That last question really just shows, and that's saying that I may have not asked everything, but I've already kind of assessed who you are based upon the questions that I've asked. This is saying that this is the last chance for you to give me some juice, for you to sell me, for you to give me a punchline, for you to give me something about you or your experience that I need to hear so that it can change what I have on this paper. That is really the last time that they have the opportunity of value prop. Now, last step, if you don't have any questions for me, I feel like you weren't paying attention. So I need you to note that on your side, if they don't have any questions for you, they probably weren't paying attention, or they probably were just there in their thoughts or in their mind and really not listening to what you were saying. I believe that questions are so important, and questions just shows the engagement between both parties. And I think it's very important for them to ask questions, because I know that I may have not hit everything. And then, this is a powerful question. I've done this in interviews, and it really shows you how people work together. So one question that I ask, only if it's a group interview, what is one question that you'd ask each other? Now, I love asking this question because it immediately shows if they were paying attention to the other person in this group interview, if they were effectively and actively listening, but also what this shows, if they can think quickly to ask someone a good question to be able to engage with them, how well they are in building relationships with other people, and then this just sets the foundation. It kind of catches them off guard. I like to catch people off guard. Sometimes in interviews, I make them do scenarios, make them do things on the board. I want them to act out the job. I do role play scenarios. I need to know if I'm paying you, hiring you, and you're a representation of my brand, my business, my vision, I need to make sure that you are a good fit for my company, for my finances, and for my brand. So these are the things that I believe that are so important for you to look for as a part of the interviewing process, as a part of the vetting process. And I look forward to hearing your feedback and really using these questions as a part of your process. And if you have any questions that have worked for you, shoot them over to us. So this is your bonus lesson on the steps, the strategies, and the methodologies to interviewing. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon.